Fab Institution Summit. We're doing a presentation on our Mentors in the Making program, overcoming COVID challenges. We have a program here. Let's introduce ourselves. First, my name is Cathy Coudriet I'm the STEM Education Coordinator at Fab Lab, involved in everything internal Fab Lab.
And then I am Hughes. I'm a STEM educator. So I kind of help out as needed with different programming, including Mentors in the Making.
So how Mentors in the Making started was Steve and John, two other educators here at Fab Lab, started out 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago now, I guess. They were still teaching at the Fab Lab and now projects, but they at the time were involved in an outreach program where they went out to schools. They would go out to a school once a month for a week and bringing Fab Lab equipment into the school and teaching Fab education projects there. At this time, they ran into a kid named Michael, and this is kind of our origin story for Mentors in the Making, where Michael really was struggling in school, and after being in this program once a month, for a week, learning the technology, really blossomed into a good student all around. They found it really helped his education, even outside of the Fab Lab. And John and Steve came back to the Fab Lab. We had lots of discussion, information about this, and thinking about it. How could we still reach out and touch students like Michael in the past this one touch point, which was his program he was involved in for one semester. We sadly lost track of Michael, but we were spurred on to create Mentors in the Making, which is a program where we have touch program. Yes. There you go on the next one. Sorry.
Yeah. So with this Mentors in the Making, our philosophy in the Fab Lab is to make makers. So with this in mind, we wanted to really kind of continue to have the connections with the same group of students, as well as kind of investing in them. So Mentors in the Making, or MITM, is where we match high school students with STEM professionals. And so through this, they go through learning both the engineering design process as well as human-centered design. So this program serves ages 14 to 18 in the Pittsburgh area. And so this is, again, to keep us having that more in-depth, longer-term time with them. And so using what we call process folios, students and mentors reflect on kind of what they've learned, what kind of projects they're working on, what kind of skills they're learning. And in the end, it all ends in a capstone project focused on just some area that they're very interested in, and they might see kind of a way to solve the problem that utilizes some of the tools, some of the skills they've learned throughout. So kind of our history, it's kind of brief, but starting in 2017-18, that was our first year with this program. And so we had 2 cohorts, so 2 nights of students. We had 9 students in total that year. And again, we still wanted to make sure that it was still connection. So in 2018-2019, we again had 2 nights of students, looking to have 5 on each night, as well as 5.
Thereafter, actually the 2019 to 2020 year, of course, we all know what happened mid-year. This program goes from October to March in the early part of this, the middle of the school year. Of course, everything shut down. We had actually just grown the program to go to 3 cohorts of 6 students each, so we had 18 students. And what we found with COVID hitting, we totally lost the program. So the program, 1 student ended up finishing the whole season with 1 mentor. And so, of course, we were then backtracking and trying to figure out with COVID how to make this happen the following year. And what we want to talk about, so what we want to talk about today was how, all the different, sorry, you're back one today, too many. How we actually dealt with the problems that came about trying to do a hands-on program, with, COVID, sorry, with COVID issues. And we then went to 2 cohorts with 8 students, the year after COVID. We ended up having a hard time getting students into the program. Some of our problems were the hard part of hybrid programming was that most of our students did not have reliable access to computers and internet. And our program, when we started it prior to COVID, we had a carrot of having a computer at the end of the program for that's what they got for finishing the program and finalizing things. With our revamping of the program for COVID, we decided to give the students the computer up front so that they would have that available to them for the program. We went to a hybrid as opposed to totally virtual, where most of CSC, Carnegie Science Center, went fully virtual with a lot of the programming. We decided to go hybrid so that they could still have use of the hands-on equipment. The hybrid included in-person and online. We brought in Brightspace, which was a virtual platform that CSC brought on for all virtual programming. We used Zoom to do the actual programming when they were on the virtual side of things. We had to do some transforming of lesson plans because most of our lesson plans have some learning up front and then hands-on at the end, and we had to split those into 2 sessions so that they have hands-on in learning virtual, and then the following week hands-on. Another big challenge we had was staffing during this time, because staffing on virtual nights, we had to have a science center personnel for each breakout room. We were not allowed to legally have a breakout room without a CSC staff person in the room. And of course, we're in COVID, in the middle of the deep part of COVID, where we did not have that many staff people, so it was all hands on deck. And that very first year we actually did hybrid, we ran into more of a problem because numbers in the area went up very rapidly right around Thanksgiving until shortly after January. So we went fully virtual, which was not in the plan originally. So we ended up backpedaling more and trying to make the items for students after they created them online with their mentors.
And then, so our project, some of the projects that we had over the course of the years, these are some kind of significant ones that we remember, either working with students on or just kind of remembering the outcome. Specifically, positive affirmation stickers. So this student really wanted to kind of focus on that affirmation, so they were able to design and then cut them out using vinyl cutter. The next project that we kind of remember was handicap signage. So whether it was, I think, a braille menu, they were looking to design on the 3D printer and have that printed so that they could kind of use that and implement that. Drying masks for masks. So during COVID, basically, we all had many masks, and a lot of these whole masks became popular. So using design as well as CNC routers out for drying masks. That was one of our projects. And then an air quality monitor using both 3D and circuitry. The student wanted to kind of have more understanding of air quality and how it could be more personal.
Then one of the ones we didn't put on here, I think, was someone designed both years during COVID. 2 different students came by this separately. They actually both designed a 6-foot distance monitor to make sure people were not meeting each other. One was a personal monitor that they were around, so everybody came 6 feet of them. Another one was a 6-foot monitor, so that a workstation in a classroom, other students wouldn't come within 6 feet of each other, which I thought was a another fun topic for us. So I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but staffing needs for CSC staff in every breakout room was a big challenge we had to overcome. Student engagement was another big challenge we had problems because
students were already spending so much time on their computer, on whether it's Chromebooks or computers or laptops or tablets. They were already spending like 7-8 hours a day. And then just another 2 hours at night was an issue. And at first, we did not initially want to like press the issue of cameras on, just because again, students were already in classrooms for 7 hours, all of that. But we did notice those nights that we did require cameras on, or at least a period of time where their cameras were on. We saw higher engagement and higher participation. But even with this engagement and participation, we noticed that it was still hard to kind of see how the students were understanding some of the material, how to use some of the programs, and then when it came to a day in person, how
you quite often didn't find out almost the end of the session that someone missed a step early on in the engagement of learning something like Inkscape or Tinkercad. And they would not jump in and ask questions as they were going along. When in PALS, you can actually stand behind them and see if they're struggling or see their faces if they're struggling. Was a big issue because we get to the end of the session and the student would be at the very beginning of the process of learning the design software, and there's no help involved there. The other problem we overcame quickly was with computers, but even with computers given out at the beginning of the sessions, you had kids that had problems with them, couldn't figure out how to do things. Sometimes it was internet issues, Zoom issues. If anybody remembers the beginning of COVID, Zoom was not as good as it is now, and it would crash with too many people on, different things like that. We had a good bit of that. We found out also we didn't have enough hands-on time with the fabrication machine. Those years during COVID, the students did not learn the hardware side of things as well as we would hope them to in this program.
But on the bright side, a lot of our hybrid programming, going back and forth between in-person and virtual, we were able to kind of see a couple things and take away a couple things. So especially after that COVID spring, we had a couple mentors that reached out and were like, hey, we didn't get to finish this program. Is there a way we can come back this year or the following fall to kind of see, okay, I want to finish this program out. And so we started to value returning mentors kind of each year, and some kind of calling them super mentors, as they kind of already had that training and were able to learn a little bit more and be another hand or another person to ask questions to when it came to machinery. We also changed from matching at the beginning of the fall, the beginning of the program, to matching in the winter about the midpoint, where students and mentors kind of had already interacted, and we were able to see their interactions and if they had already made that connection.
And as part of that, the super mentor issue was really nice because we ended up with actually more mentors because we had people who wanted to return. We don't tell the students that they're returning mentors normally. We let them act like they're normal because we wanted the mentors to be learning along with the students, so we didn't want them being ahead of the students. But it's still, as we found out, it's worked out pretty well. We have dropped Brightspace as a landing platform, just because we found it was another layer we did not need. We use Google Drives and Google Calendars and Zoom for when we go virtual. So we just dropped that, even though we picked it up for the virtual time, but for the hybrid time. But coming back to fully in-house, we dropped that layer of extras that we didn't really need.
That's our question.
And then we're, yeah, it's a little quicker than we would have done it with 20 people than we might think, but, we had time for questions here at the end, and either Liz or Ivan have a question, feel free to let us know.
I have a question.
Sure.
When you in your program now, how is it working? Like, is the attendance good? Is the cohort numbers back up?
We're back up to 10 students and 10 mentors. We did not implement super mentors this year. We were having a little hard time getting mentors this year for some reason. It was very hard to get students this year. And last year, I personally wasn't that involved in getting the students in last year, but after talking to Barry, I think they had the same issue. We did, but they did a little bit faster than we did this year. But we did end up with 10 students, 5 each night, 2 nights. We've been trying to think about expanding it, but I don't know how it's going to work at this point. Particularly after COVID, it was really hard just to get teachers because we send out information to teachers in September, and teachers just weren't receptive to getting it out to their students quickly and timely fashion.
Is there a specific socioeconomic number you're trying to hit with the students, or is it just? It's
just underserved populations, pretty much. We really don't have any. They don't have to show any financial information. They don't have to, say that. They just basically have to go to a school which is anywhere in Pittsburgh where they have free lunches, basically.
Oh, okay.
And being able to get to the
and be able to get to the science center, kind of full route. But we do give the students, if they needed, a bus pass. But a lot of the local schools give bus passes anyway, so we haven't had that problem too much. But we have a really good group this year. We have the 10 students are from 6 different schools, I think, and 3 from homeschooling groups. But Liz, we sent out 5,000 emails, and we sent out one between Abby and I, and then we ended up having to get our marketing department and they sent out emails to every student that has a free membership to the Carnegie, and that's when we finally started getting applications.
Do they still get a laptop for participating?
Yes, they get the laptop up front. Still, we continue that, and we're trying to work towards getting a stipend in the next few years.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that would really move the needle.
And we've discussed it a lot. It's always a numbers game with money and time.
Well, I just read somewhere that the Science Center just got $65 million. So I feel like now's a good time to ask for that stipend.
It would be nice to do a stipend next year. It might help us do a stipend. I don't know how much that's going to really help them. Right now, so we'll have that conversation later. Thank you. Because the Fab Lab's already funded to, the BIY and Fab Lab at the Carnegie's here. It's funded fairly well, but this program is no longer separately funded, which is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we haven't had it.
It's absorbed into your operating budget for Fab Lab?
Yes, we haven't had an outside.
Yeah. Interesting. Huh.
And that fell away at COVID also. That was another struggle.
Yeah, the funding went away. Huh.
Yeah, the funding went away. That funding we had for the first 3 years went away during COVID. And but we are so happy with the program and like it so much we decided to pull it into the operating budget and make it happen every year until we figure it out. Right?
Yeah.
So that's partially why we haven't expanded. The expansion has kind of gone away for a year or 2. We tried to expand into the Sarah Hines house this year, but it kind of didn't take off as well as we'd hoped. So it didn't happen this year. Maybe next year would be nice because they could do it the same nights we're doing it for one thing, and still keep the groups down to 5 to 6 kids, each group. Because we don't want to get much further than that. It's just too much. Don't have the time, space, or So.
Well, thanks for presenting to me and Yvonne. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I have also some small question regarding the students. So, have you noticed any change, for instance, in I don't know, some of the processes that you were using before that they are not working now, or in the interest of the students, or the attendance to the lesson, so they prefer perhaps to have more content online. Have you noticed any kind of change in the way students learn, or the interest of the students if we compare before COVID?
I think you're asking, and you are breaking up, Ivan. I'm sorry. I'm hearing like every other cat word, but I think you're asking if we noticed a difference in the students prior to COVID and after COVID, or during COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before and after.
We have, and I can say that for not just this program, but even our summer camps program, which I'm also heavily involved in. Students after COVID are a bit more reserved, I would say is a good word for it. They are less, they seem to be less outgoing, a little less communicative. At least last year. This year we have a pretty good group, and I think it just depends on the group sometimes, you know. What we've had more kids applying to the program that are on the spectrum, which makes the, you know, a little bit different, trying to get mentors that can work with a student on the spectrum. Like I said, I think they're just more reserved. You know, they don't really seem to be as outgoing as in past years. Like I said, it's hard to get them to commit. You know, we had a hard, you know, it's a long program. It goes from October to March, and once a week. That's a pretty big commitment. Last year we had a hard time. We had probably 2 kids out of the 10 that really didn't make it through the whole program. They were there at the end, and they were there at the beginning, but they didn't really make it to the first. They didn't do all the weeks and weren't here all the time. This year, so far a little better. You know, we haven't had too many misses that weren't due to illness or, you know, being out of town or something along those lines. So not just, oh, I forgot, didn't show up, you know.
Yeah, but it's more or less the same feeling that I have here. So it took really 1-2 years to start running the Fab Lab in the same state as it was before the COVID. So the activity was not the same. I mean, there were not enough people in the Fab Lab. Sorry, I think my audio is really bad. Let me try one thing.
I'm having a hard time hearing you again. Sorry.
I think now it's better, right?
Oh, much better. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I was using the
Sorry,
wrong microphone. Yeah. So what we had here, the same feeling that it took at least 2 years to go back to the previous state. I mean, the activity was very low.
I think this year we're finally getting there, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the last 2 years, the year after the whole thing fell apart, and the 2 years we were hybrid. First off, when you're hybrid, you're really seeing the kids in person every other week, and sometimes less than that. The first year, even less than that. It's hard to get that connection with them. You know, it's hard to get the mentors to get the connection with the mentees because they're not spending every week together. This year, that's a little bit better, I think. And last year we were fully in-house again, and it still was hard because I think the kids were still like not quite back to themselves, which was interesting.
Yeah. No, but even, I mean, I'm more with university students, and is the same. And even recruiting students for the different courses, it's even more difficult.
Yeah, recruiting this year was, we've been dealing with talking about all the different ways we're going to work at trying to recruit next year differently, because this year recruiting was just pulling team. You know, it was really hard. It was partially teachers and students. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't just the students. It was teachers that were some of the blockage there. So, but well, thank you, Ivan, for doing what you did.
Thank you for your presentation. It was interesting.
Yeah, well, wish there would have been more people interested, but that's okay.
Well, I'm sure that I mean, the problem is that it's very late, so
yeah, it's late and there's people.
And then, but anyhow, it will be online, and the people will have the chance to have a look.
Yep.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Hello all.